program brought to you in part by Pacific Marine Expo, a trade-only event for commercial mariners from Alaska to California. This is National Fisherman Live. I'm Leslie Taylor. This week on our program, Michael Crowley, National Fisherman's Boats and Gear editor, talks about a new product that you might want to have with you in case of emergency. And we take a closer look at a revolutionary new net technology out of New Zealand that could eliminate bycatch. But first, some fishing news from around the coasts. It's often said that one man's trash is another man's treasure, but can it be said that one man's trash is another man's dinner? Maybe so. In New England, efforts are underway to introduce consumers to such species as redfish, dogfish, and surf clams, once referred to by fishermen as trash fish. WBUR News in Boston is reporting that Michael Levitin of the Cambridge, Massachusetts eatery Area 4 recently offered New England diners weaned on cod and haddock some lesser-known but equally tasty seafood. Levitin hosted a dinner featuring 9 chefs, each preparing a different seafood dish in an effort to get them to look beyond the traditional. Lionfish ceviche with ruby grapefruit and candied lemon zest, anyone? After 8 months, Alaska halibut fishermen can hang up their boots for 2013. The fleet landed upwards of 20 million pounds, which means as much as 1 million pounds of harvestable quota is still swimming. Despite landings that Kodiak processors characterized as scratchy, in many regions prices were fairly strong, so strong in fact that early in the year buyers balked at paying them. But the price came down and the inventory was cleared out, and by year's end, prices were up again. The International Pacific Halibut Commission meets next month to set 2014 quotas. The fishery reopens in March. If they tell you commercial fishing is on its way out, don't believe them. Pacific Marine Expo, where we hope to see you this week, is officially one of the 50 fastest growing trade shows in the country. Fish Expo, as it has become known over the course of its almost 50 years in Seattle, has become the place for West Coast and Alaska fishermen to get together every fall. This year, 492 companies are exhibiting, up from just over 400 last year. Bob Callahan, director of the trade show, says Pacific Marine Expo has evolved from trade show to interactive learning environment. You can't get that from the internet, he told National Fisherman Live. More than 3 years after the Deepwater Horizon spill, BP is saying, all right already. The British petro giant says it's being used as a patsy by businesses looking to cash in on the 5 million gallon oil spill, companies that did not suffer any harm attributable to the spill. CNBC says the company cited a clinic whose primary doctor's license was revoked, a mobile phone shop closed by a fire, and a car dealership that sold the discontinued model as examples of businesses that successfully claimed compensation from BP for its role in the 2010 Deepwater Horizon blowout in the Gulf of Mexico. In all, BP says it has shelled out $76 million for claims it is now clear were not caused by the spill, and at least $546 million more where any reasonable observer would conclude that the losses were not related to the spill. And lastly, back in the land of the midnight sun, a whole lot of commercial fishermen are taking issue with a ballot initiative that seeks to ban set net fishing in Anchorage, Juneau, and elsewhere, saying the language of the referendum in question is vague and misleading. Alaska fishermen typically use set nets to target salmon. Yet, as Julianne Curry of the United Fishermen of Alaska, which represents dozens of fishing groups, says, there's no mention of salmon, it just says fish. Proponents of the measure say king salmon numbers are low and the fish need protection. But commercial interests say the proposal brought by the Alaska Fisheries Conservation Alliance is a political move that ignores science and fishery management and is determined to exclude an entire sector of the industry. In other words, it's a fish grab that seeks to give sports fishermen a bigger piece of the salmon pie. But not all sports fishermen support it. Dwight Kramer, head of the Kenai Area Fishermen's Coalition, told the Peninsula Clarion newspaper, "This isn't about conservation, it's about greed, plain and simple." And now for product news.
I'm Michael Crowley, National Fisherman's Boats and Gear editor, and in charge of the product section. To be featured in National Fisherman's product section, a product doesn't have to be big and expensive. In fact, it can be little and priced at, say $29.95. That's what North American Laser Flares is asking for its Picatinny gun mount that was in this past December's issue. The gun mount which fits over the barrel of a 12-gauge aerial flare gun, allows you to bring together two safety devices. There's the flare gun from, say, Orion, and then either a laser flare or a strobe light that fits in a holder and is attached to the gun mount. And in here is an Orion flare gun, and this is the gun mount. Here we have a holder with a strobe light inside of it. So we've got both safety devices together. Now when everything's gone to hell and you need help, use the strobe light or a laser to get the attention of a boat or a plane, then fire off the flare gun to indicate it's an emergency, and then let them home in on the laser flare or the strobe light. The combination of the flare and the laser or strobe light provides a lot more visual stimulation in a rescue situation than being restricted to a single visual signal. And having everything in one hand in an emergency and not having to search after stuff makes a lot of sense.
Thanks, Mike. Next, a look at precision seafood harvesting, a new sustainable fishing technology that could revolutionize the global fishing industry. What if every fish that landed on the deck of a trawler was alive and in perfect condition? A new net technology out of New Zealand aims to revolutionize commercial fishing by giving fishermen much greater control of the harvesting process. Alistair Jarrett, science group leader at the New Zealand Institute for Plant and Food Research, explains that the goal of the technology is to enable fishermen to haul in the fish they want while leaving those they don't want still swimming in the sea.
Design everything to make sure that the animals that we don't want are discharged as fast as possible at depth, so they never even see the light of day.
The technology, known as precision seafood harvesting, consists of PVC net with a tube-like design. The holes in the PVC increase protection for small fish that can swim free through escape portals. Jessica Hathaway, editor-in-chief of National Fisherman magazine, says the more that bycatch can be reduced, the happier fishermen will be.
Fishermen are always, especially draggermen, are always looking to reduce bycatch and take fewer of the smaller fish. And it also seems like the fish coming across the deck are in better condition. Some of them can even go into live markets, which would be huge, and the quality in general will be better.
The flexible PVC liner retains water so fish arrive on deck still swimming. Not only will the net reduce bycatch, the researchers claim, but it will control the fatigue of the target fish and keep them alive longer, resulting in higher value, better quality fish to send to market.
And I think the aha moment was really why do we have to strain these fish out? Why do we have to exercise and exhaust them? Why do we have to damage them?
And the new technology really has greatly reduced the damage to the fish that end up on deck, says Bill Healy, vessel manager of Sealord, one of the companies that has been actively trialing the new technology on fishing vessels. The fish are in such a better condition that sometimes his crew have been confused by their haul.
Now is that some of the fish that's coming up, the crew are struggling to understand them because they're not what they expect. The colours are different. Alfonsino is a good example. We expect it to be nice, bright orange-red, but when it comes up, it's got a different colour in it than we normally see when it comes up in this gear.
The technology, which has been 10 years in development at a cost of $40 million, is still not yet commercially available. But once it is available, the question is how widespread the adoption will be.
I think it's really exciting technology. It remains to be seen how practical it will be especially for smaller boats. I think bigger boats will have an easier time implementing it.
Bill Healy says the next step is to take the technology to a factory vessel where he suspects it will radically improve the harvesting process.
We'll see the difference immediately. We will see it through our cascade. We'll see it through our through the length of time that we can run a specific product for before we have to downgrade the product.
When you realise that you can design a highly selective trawl, you're winning in many different ways. You're winning in unexplored properties, values that we haven't realised. You're producing a humane harvesting system so that the animals win. And we're giving a hell of a lot of control back to the processor and to the fisherman.
For more commercial fishing news and analysis, subscribe to National Fisherman Magazine. Visit our website at www.nationalfisherman.com or subscribe to our twice-weekly e-newsletter. For National Fisherman Live, I'm Leslie Taylor.